Hey, what's up? Is everybody done waiting for me? Hold on, let me switch screens because I am a little discombobulated. Can you guys see me okay? And somebody say hi so I know you can see me. And live. The tactical 6-string. I am very late today, guys. I am sorry. I was dealing with some stuff, business-related stuff that came up, and it was a time-sensitive issue. I wanted to make sure it got done. And Shaman Blues says, hey, Shaman Blues, how are you guys doing? I know, I'm so sorry, guys. Like I said, it was just bad timing, but it was important. There is... So, everybody have a good week? I actually had a really good week. Ed Dana says hi. Hey, Ed Dana. Let's see. Dan from Michigan. Hey, Dan from Michigan. Business. Yes, Rick Duff's like business. Yes. The YouTube world has been, since I've been doing this more than I was doing it before. I know it seems to some people that watch videos that I'm not putting out as many videos, but you're going to see why soon. There's a lot more coming. And let's see. All right. Okay, wait. Let's go to the first question. First question. Oh, wait. Hey, Michael. What's up? Michael Nelson. Don't like that. What did you say? Wait. Don't like that your back wall of guitars is so classy now. I miss the shredder guitars. That comes up time to time. You guys, it's funny. I think I've said this. I don't play the shredder guitars. I can't play that shredding Paul Gilbert stuff. I just can't. I've learned to fake a second of it because it's just something I've always kind of looked up to. But so I have that affection for those guitars. But okay, so let's take some questions. Ed says, dig that Dane Electro. Thank you. I really love it too. It's really cool. I love the color. And okay, so let's do the first question. What's going on with BC Rich, especially the basses? More bass vids would be great, thanks. BC Rich is being made by Praxis. Praxis also makes Sterling by Music Man. They make really good stuff. BC Rich, if you're a BC Rich fan, if you're an old BC Rich fan, BC Rich, what they did that was horrible was they got their, obviously Bernie Rico sold the company off, and then Bernie Rico Jr., did his thing, and then and we won't get into that, but we're going to get into why BC Rich is not around anymore. It's not because they're pointy. It's because I believe they signed some deals with Guitar Center that were not very good ideas, which is to let them carry only the lower product. So you had a couple generations of kids only seeing $199 BC Rich guitars. For a short time, BC Rich was actually doing some really good Korean guitars in that $600-700 range. And, and they also negotiated a bad deal. They were doing those, do you guys remember when they were doing those Floyd Rose strings that you don't need tuning keys for? And they should have locked that idea down. Instead, they let Floyd Rose keep making his guitars, and it just got a little weird. When you have a company that's not as popular as it was, it's really important to keep control of the integrity and the quality of that company. And it's more so important than when it's just growing like a weed. And so they didn't do that. So that's where BC Rich is. But Praxis makes good stuff, so I would love to check out their stuff. I still think I want a BC Rich Virgin. To me, I always said it looked like a Strat got bit by a vampire. It was just a weird guitar. Cool. Here's a question. What guitar pedal amp combo would you recommend for a good vintage-style fuzz sound? Well, for a fuzz sound, you just get a fuzz pedal, and fuzz pedals, to me, react to amps. To me, a Fender fuzz tone and a Marshall fuzz tone are the exact opposite. So to me, if you put a fuzz pedal in front of a Fender clean amp, you're going to get this fizzy kind of, Weezer-esque, I like Weezer, or bands that do that fuzz sound, where if you put it through a Marshall, you get that kind of 60s, 70s rock sound. So, and because I think it's because just a little bit of gain after a fuzz pedal changes it dramatically. Okay, I've been looking, so XJ series, Service says, I have been looking for a cheap distortion that will do very saturated metal and also some more classic crunch. I would prefer to pay less than $150. Any suggestions? So I'll give you some brands. So from Boss, I like the Metal Core over the Metal Zone. A lot of people don't like the Metal Zone. I'm not a big fan anymore. It's not a bad pedal. It's It's just that sound. But the metal core is usable from Boss. In the $100 range, I like the TC Rottweiler was a pretty good one for that. Didn't love it, but I liked it. For MXR, I like... See, the 50 is too much money. It's $200. What else is good for $100? I'm trying to think. 150 bucks. Well, keep this in mind. You know what? The 5150 or the Freeman BOD used, man. That's what you need to be looking for. Get a used one for 150 bucks. So, here's a question. Oh, sorry. Looking for an amp. Okay, hold on. Thoughts on Rocktron Prophecy 2? I haven't tried it. Rocktron is just one of those brands you just don't see anymore. I mean, every time, I don't know about you guys, I have no problem with the gear, but every time I see Rocktron stuff, I go, they're still around. It's just, their just marketing is not very good. And the only reason I know Rocktron is because I'm a huge Gary Hoey fan, and he did a bunch of ads for them. Okay, so here's a good one. I bought a couple Sovtek amp heads when in college. They've been great. What happened to them? Or are they still around? Oh, so check this out. They're back. They're just under Electro-Harmonix. Sorry, guys. Electro-Harmonix. If that makes everybody feel better. Electro-Harmonix has reissued the Sovtek heads for like $500. And I was going to buy one. I got the inkling to do it, and then I talked myself out of it. And then I thought, now maybe I should ask to see if they're willing to ship us one and let us check it out. I have to watch that stuff, though, because this stuff starts stacking up, and then I got more reviews to do than I know what to do with. Wilder Spark says, G&L or Fender, which is better value? Well, better value is Fender. Okay, so now, wait, I might have said that wrong. Better return on investment is Fender. Buy a Fender, sell a Fender. G&L for dollar to dollar, what you get, I think G&L wins for quality for dollar. The G&L guys, G&L guys are the code I can't crack. I'm a Fender guy. You guys know that I have a lot of Fenders. And I would love to take my efforts and energy to a smaller company like G&L and say, hey, I would rather talk about your guitars than Fender guitars for the most part. Because everybody kind of knows the Fender. No one knows about G&L's story. So I've contacted them and I said, let me help tell your story. Let me look at your guitars. And as you guys know, I don't want any money. I don't want anything out of the deal. Sell me a guitar cost. That would be nice once I decide I love one. However, the problem is they weren't interested. But I'm not giving up because I really think G&L is a cool thing. Somebody gave me $5. That's that super chat thing. Now, do I have to do something for that? Do you guys like to see a little? Did you post a question? It doesn't tell me. I'm going to figure this out. Let's see. Oh, here's a good one, guys. Check this out. After 3 years of playing, I want to get my first tube amp to use in an apartment. Even 1 watt could be too loud. This is true, right? So I decided to use an attenuator. What would you recommend to cover a wide range of? Okay, quick question. Oh, wait. Two tones, Foo Fighters, Soundgarden, classic rock. Money is an issue. Without a doubt, I have heard no better compliments from the 2-note stuff. I think I said this privately to some friends. I'll tell you guys now. The only reason I don't have a 2-notes is I'm afraid that once I get one, I will use it all the time. And I know that sounds silly. Okay, Joey's Bumhole says, Phil, why are Heritage guitars the best? I don't know if they're the best. I know there's one sitting right there. Check that out. That's a Heritage hollow body. I'm doing a review on that guitar. I've been digesting and soaking it in for the last couple of days. So I'm not sure, right? I'm really interested in them, though. They are very cool. Again, like the G&L. I'm really interested, aren't you guys, on the... I love that we can go see Fenders and Gibsons pretty much in every major store, but it's nice, to see other stuff. And in the past, you go to stores to check out new gear, and now I feel like we go to stores and we see the same gear. So I'm trying to see new gear for everybody. Let's see. And if I'm missing questions, again, guys, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get the most interesting ones. If you guys... You know what? Here's a good one. Do you like Line 6 Pod? The Pod series. The kidney beans I thought were cool, but remember, I haven't tried one in 10 years. What I remember 10 years ago was good. I've said this over and over again. Line 6 is the winger of guitar products. They're just getting their beat downs. There's so much hate for them, and the truth is, they make affordable gear that sounds decent for affordable gear, and I don't understand where the hate comes from. I have to admit I'm not a big fan to run and go grab one, but I can't imagine they're much for what they do in their market brackets. Plus, they've hit some winners. You know, some of the Bogner style stuff from them was pretty good. I thought the M13, M6, M9, those were good. So good stuff. Okay. Oh, here's one. Oh, sorry. I saw it was a good one. Oh, Dactar says from the old Gibson Factory. Yes. The Heritage guys are from Kalamazoo. Basically the story goes, you know, Gibson moves, and when they move, some of the employees stay, you know, because they were staying anyways, and the management bought the building or leased the building and bought the equipment and still make them on the old way. So that's how you do that. Let's see. Next, big question. What kind of guitar should I buy? I'm looking for a funk guitar, and I want the punch of a Tele, but I want the tonal variety of a Strat, and I prefer humbucker lead tone. That's a good question. You know what? For what you're talking about, really any Tele or Strat with dual humbuckers with coil splits will be what you need. That's Chad Plays Guitar 1. That's what I recommend. You know, there's so many good guitars, but that's one I'm prone to like those. Let's see. Oh, good question. Hi, Phil. Is there a downside to a satin finish on a neck? Well, I find like picks. There's two kinds of necks. There's sweaty hand necks and dry hand necks, right? So if you have really dry hands, some people find that when your hands are really dry, the gloss necks feel really nice because, you know, it's just slick. If you have sweaty hands, they get sticky on those necks. So some players like their sweaty hands on having a satin finish neck. Me, I play both, and for some reason I've never attached an issue. I have a lot of friends that just, if they play one, they can't play the other. It just can't happen. But me, I could care less, right? I play both. I think I prefer satin necks, but not enough to where I would sand one of the Paul Reed Smith's necks down. I thought about it, but I haven't done it. Oh, okay, yeah, Harry, I think you posted this. So you guys, I see so many comments from you guys. I try to respond, but I don't always get to. Harry said, hey, Phil, I took your advice about the little Vox amp combo. Bought a used 80-watt 110 Marshall from a pawn shop for 85 euros. Am I saying that right? Looks like the euro sign. With a free Marshall's foot switch. Can blow away any of my bandmates, which is good, right? You know, it's now you have to pay attention, Harry, as the bass player gets a bigger amp next week, right? That's how that usually goes. You get the bigger guitar amp, then they get the bigger bass amp, and the arms race starts. Israel says, hey, I purchased a green Rhino from your review. Yeah, did you like it? Was it the first one? Because I think I reviewed the first one, not the new one. I can't remember. I liked it. I think it's one of those, I think it's a very underrated pedal. You know what's funny was when I did that review, I was looking online and they were not going for very much. And if you guys don't know what he's talking about, I did a comparison. Oh, maybe not. I thought I had it out. Oh, I do. The overrated special. These things go for top dollar. I think they're hitting like $200, $300, $400. And the green Rhino, I showed that it was pretty close to that. So check those out. Lawrence Petross said, hey, Phil, GNL needs you. They just don't know it. Yeah, well, I know, Lawrence, you know, me and you have talked about it. We talked about the fact that I would really like to check them out. I just, you know, it's funny. In the state where I live in Arizona, there's not a place to check out a GNL. Not really. I mean, there might be one or two. So that's what I said. I even told them I'd drive down to California just to check them out. So, I'm interested in the CMG guitars. You know what, Rigid Morris? I am too. All right, that's CMGs were one of the ones I did that, you know, the $1,000 or less guitars. Very cool. You know what? Maybe I should talk to RNA Music and see if he's willing to ship me one if I ship it back and let me check it. Because he probably will get a sale out of the deal because I'm pretty easy to sell a guitar to. I'm not gonna lie. Right? It's like when it comes to guitar sales, I'm close to a sure thing. There's There's 410 of us watching now. That's and hanging out. I appreciate you guys, especially with me being late. Again, I apologize for that today. Okay, so hold on one second. All right. Oh, here's a good one. Chuck said, I've done this question before. I'm going to do it again, though, because it's just an interesting subject. Chuck wanted to know if I've ever tried the Evertune bridge. If you have, what'd you think? Yes, I've tried it. I've actually had to set one up or adjust to make adjustments when they came in on the Washburn guitars for Ola, England. Very interesting bridge, and the thing I say about it is the same thing about a lot of those type of mechanisms. I'm always concerned to fall in love with something that can't be added to all my guitars easily, and so what would happen is either I'd become a player that plays only that guitar, or I wouldn't play that guitar at all. That's my only issue. So as a collector, but if my collector mindset was to have a lot of different guitars, like that one would be one of the cool ones I'd check out. So here's a good one. Any tips on buying used guitars? Yes. The tips are simple. First, we're going to talk about two different things. Sorry, not two times. Touching it and buying it online. Buying online is all about the credibility of the seller. That is the important thing. Buying it in person is really about making sure that your emotional vibe is right and you're making the right decisions. So you love it. I always have friends and they'll say, oh, I love this guitar. And I go, do you really love it? And they go, yeah. And I go, it's the best guitar you ever had. And they go, no, it's got some issues. And I go, then you don't love it. You don't see issues when you love something. Not right away. I figure if I really love it, I'll love it 10% less no matter what in a week. So start there. What do you think of Bareknuckle pickups? I have installed them into many guitars. They are English, so they must be good. They are English, so they must be good. And I hate to say it, my issue is they're expensive. I kind of like everybody I love Dimarzios, I love Seymour Duncans. I have no issues with those pickups, and they're like half the price of the bare knuckles. And a part of the bare knuckles issues is, is exchange rate. So the exchange rate and shipping in the U.S., they're a small company, so like a lot of those small companies, there's duties and charges and stuff. So I know when I'm buying a bare knuckle, it's really the expense is in that, not in the quality so much over the Seymour Duncan and Dimarzio. And I might get some hate comments for that because a lot of people believe they're a lot better. They might be, but I don't really think they cost that much based on their actual value. It is the exchange and the duties that seem to put that price point so high. Let's see. Oh, Chuck's saying, hey, you think it's hard to try a G&L down there? Try Canada. Music Mans are hard to find. Yeah. I think that's part of the problem we're going to have. That's where I've been reluctant to do certain things on the channel, because I think one of the things that I'm worried about is that in the future, as we touch less stuff, we're going to be watching more videos, and you need to know in a video where the objective of the person making the video is. Okay, Decibel Lab, that's too hard of a question right now. He said, want to know, what was the Les Paul lawsuit all about? The Ibanez Les Paul lawsuit. There wasn't a Les Paul lawsuit with Ibanez. There was a lawsuit with Gibson and Les Paul, or Gibson and Ibanez, and it was, you know what? Actually, funny enough, I'll probably be able to do a video about that. So let me work on that. Bare knuckle is expensive to consider even here in the UK. Oh, so they're expensive there too? Even much more in the UK, more than the Seymour Duncan Dimarzios, because you guys got the fees and the shipping and all that stuff coming your way. But you do have a forgiving exchange rate. Okay, so here's a good question. My 2015 Fender with the one-piece rosewood neck, Cites makes it more or less valuable? Okay, great question. Let's deal with this. Cites, do you guys know what that's all about? In January, basically, it came effective January 7th, and what happened was in November, Cites basically put all rosewood species, including Babinga and a couple other woods, on the endangered species list, which means now it has to be, it has to have certification. Okay, it's not going to be forested anymore or whatever. They're not gonna have any issues getting it. It's just now it has an added expense that takes time and money. So what does that mean? Well, it means a little bit to the manufacturers because it adds cost. What can it mean to us as guitar players? It will mean that if we're shipping guitars outside of a country, so internally, internally Europe, you're allowed to to go to Germany to England and all that stuff. But basically, if we go to Canada or U.S. to Mexico, or ship something from Russia to Japan, you're going to have paperwork on it in your customs forms, and that's going to be a little tricky, and you have to go online, you have to pay the fee, and I've heard the fee is like $40. You can get a one-time $200 fee and then pay $5 per guitar, but either way, these forms are only good for like 6 months. So shipping is going to be a little tricky. Okay, now will people ship and just lie and say it's not Rosewood? I'm sure that's going to happen, but that's the realism. Now you're allowed to take on your personal in person of less than 20 pounds of Rosewood, give or take. Remember, I'm doing this off memory, and but a lot of musicians that I've actually talked to some pretty famous guys who said they're having some guitars made with some maple necks because they just don't want to be in an international airport worrying about whether or not the employees understand the Cites rules. So that's what's going on. Now, the $1 million question is, how does that affect your Rosewood guitars? Okay, and we're not talking about Brazilian Rosewood. We're talking about any kind of Rosewood, any kind. We don't know because, one, we know there's going to be some price increases, right? We've talked about that in the past. There'll be some prices that are come up on the Rosewood. But we don't know is that will Rosewood turn into a thing like ebony or certain furs where in 10 years, the next generation won't want a guitar with that on there because it has a negative connotation of being this, blood diamond, right? And we don't know. We just don't know what the effects are. So do I think it's going to make it less valuable? I can't see how. Do I think it's going to be more valuable? No, because it's not like so think about this. It's not a cost like per inch or our linear foot. It's just a one-time fee. So higher-end guitars aren't really going to be affected by this. It's just a paperwork trail now. Import guitars aren't going to be affected. Really, where I think Rosewood is going to be interesting is cheap guitars. Manufacturers, if you're telling me it's going to cost $5 American to register a Rosewood piece of Rosewood on a guitar, and the time it takes to fill out the paperwork and the person that does it, $150 guitar it's just street price is going to be hard to absorb that much money. That could be like $12 by the time you're done. Sounds like not a big deal, but no manufacturer would just add $12 onto the guitar. They would add it almost 2 or 3 times that, and so that literally becomes a problem. So I think cheap guitars, you may see no more Rosewood on cheap guitars. So no more Squier bullets with Rosewood and stuff like that. That's where that goes. So. Happy near 100,000 subscribers. Thank you. Yeah, right. It's intense because you're like, I don't know. Either everybody will unsubscribe or somebody will subscribe and it'll go to 100,000, and we'll do something fun. I'm working on that right now. Let's see. Okay, is a neck profile a big factor? Can a deep V guy easily be a C guy? My experience, Jay, is no. That once you fall in love with a neck profile, it becomes the way you just perceive quality on a neck. I've physically had issues now where a neck carve can cause me pain in my hand. Probably from 20 years of holding a certain way, and then I find, especially as you get older, changing the angle on your wrist can really cause an uncomfortable situation for you. And so I'm almost to the point now where I hate really, really thick necks and really, really thin necks. I got to be somewhere in between. But yeah, V-necks though, I find that, but you can't, but so Larry Mitchell did mention when we were talking that he never saw himself as a V guy, and all of a sudden he likes the soft V-neck, and so I mean, yeah, you can change, but my experience is once you're comfortable with something, it's what you're comfortable with. Okay, let's see. Okay, what is the best 12-inch cabinet for 20 watt and under heads? PV Classic 20, Black Star, one possible. Who makes good cheap cabinets is Panama for good cheap cabinets. You got Carvin for good cheap cabinets. You got Egnator. You know what? Those Egnator cabinets, go check those out. Some of those 112 cabinets used go for silly money cheap. 112 cabinets are really funny because they are $600 to $900 or $150. So you got to do your price shopping, Showman Blues, because they're out there. I thought, I think sometimes that high-end cabinets. I think as I get more seasoned, especially trying the amount of gear that I've tried in the last couple of years, on top of the years of playing, I've been playing gear. I really feel like speakers are really more important than cabinets now. I don't know why I'm saying that, but it is true. I feel like, man, I can almost morph a cabinet into a better sound with a better speaker. So I'm almost to the point now where I just want to buy cheap cabinets and then throw nice speakers in them. And then that way when I sell them off, I'll put the old cheap speaker back in them and keep my nice speaker. So there you go. There is 187 of us hanging out on this Friday. What kind of camera do you use for your videos? Okay, so I have a Canon 70D. That I like. I don't do any 4K stuff. I did a 4K video, so you know, and I watched it, and I just wasn't in the mood to watch myself on a 4K on a 60+ inch TV. It was a pretty not fun. It was not a fun thing to watch. So if any of you had the experience of seeing yourself in 4K on a 60+ inch TV, you'll know even there's no way around that. There's just no way to feel good about yourself after that. So I do 1080p. I use a phone. I use all kinds of stuff, and I mix it. But mostly I use my phone. I just like my phone. I find it takes good video. In fact, I keep buying more and more gear. I keep buying more lighting, more equipment, and I find myself going back to the phone over and over again. Let's see. Harry says, hey, I want to build a pedal board that will keep upgrading for many years. What pedals do I start with? Okay, so you're talking about not physically building the pedal board. You're talking about building a quality pedal board. I've given this advice many times. I really, really stand by it. If you're getting into pedals, okay, there's steps. You cannot beat the learning curve. You can't jump it. Money won't help you. You got to go the same route that's everybody goes. First, if you have no idea what effects are, it's probably a good idea. Just take $99 and go buy yourself a nice multi-processor and learn about effects. Okay, that's the first thing. You can listen to videos, you can hear everybody give you an opinion, they can point you in the right direction, but even if you even watch a video, you still don't have the thing in the house to check out. So get that multi-processor and just turn to the dials and use the presets. Then once you do that, go somewhere where you can try pedals and fall in love with a pedal. Buy one good pedal. That's where you start. It all starts with the foundation of this pedal. I love it. I don't know what it is. It's mine. Here it is. And then after that, you buy used pedals, because used pedals are things that you can buy and get rid of. There are also rental programs like Pedal Genie, although I've never tried that, so it's hard to recommend something I've never tried. If you guys, sorry, my phone keeps chiming. If you guys have tried Pedal Genie, please, especially after the video goes on off live on permanent, please put in the comments your experience with that. I'm really curious to see. My one friend that did it told me that it was cool, except for he felt like a lot of the really cool pedals were what do you call it? They were never available. So, and I don't want to pigeonhole them off that one comment. So please, if you guys have had that experience with Pedal Genie, or if you don't know about it, go check it out. They rent pedals. So, here's a good one. Same kind of theme as before. It says, expensive boutique pedals worth the money? Wilder Sparks, I do have a blanket statement on this. When it comes to small builders who make pickups, what I've learned is almost none of them make bad pickups. Because pickups, to me, are like, they're just so raw in the ingredients, right? The wire, the magnets, the bobbins. So like a chef using fresh ingredients, it's almost impossible for a small builder to get their hands on the junk that makes pickups bad. They buy good wire, they buy good magnets. Their skill set to be able to magnetize those magnets and do stuff is important. It's important. But so my experience is boutique pickups usually are a good investment for your ears. Resale value usually hits you pretty hard. But I have found that there is a reason why companies like Seymour Duncan and Dimarzio, EMG, Lace, all those guys have stuck around for the long haul, because they have not only made good pickups, but from listening to their customers, they just know where to stay. So there's a reason why everybody uses the same thing, because it works. Okay, here's a good one that I can't answer, but I want to talk about. Does putting a brass trem block in a Strat help? You know, if I was to go off of all my friends and everybody I've ever talked to in my life, the answer is absolutely yes. Did I hear it? Do I hear it? No, but I do have a funny story. Here's why. I would tell everybody year after year, if you put a brass block, if you put a brass block on my Strat, I would never be able to tell. However, a couple years ago, I bought a $90 aluminum block which was supposed to, according to the rhetoric, have the tonal properties of brass but super light, and it was going to shave off almost a half a pound off my guitar, and I felt the Strat was heavy, so I did it, and immediately the tone was just horrible. And I couldn't believe it. So I took it off. And this is a long process, right? Disassemble the bridge. I did all in one afternoon. Put it all back together, put it back, and the tone was great. In fact, it was so dramatic that I decided it had to be in my head. So I took it apart the next day, put the aluminum block back on it. It was horrible again. Took it all apart, put it back the same way. It was probably 6 hours of that I'll never get back. And the only thing I can tell you now is now I have some education, and the education is that I think blocks can matter. If I can't say that brass doesn't matter, because I saw aluminum did matter. Although me personally, I have no upgraded brass blocks. Because also, I should point this out, because also too, it's not that it's good, because like I said, I have friends that I trust that are tone guys, right? Dave Nesdell is a guy, he knows tone. That guy swears that's the first thing you do. I maybe would do that, except for I really feel like pickups and pots and electronics are the first thing I want to do. So it's just different. Different strokes for different folks. Do you think more or less companies will make more left-handed guitars in the future? Josh, I wish I could explain the left-handed hell that is the left-handed player's life. You know, there's no sadder thing than when watching all the left-handed people that came in the shop over the years to point at the two sad left-handed guitars in the corner. I don't know why nobody has love, except for I always remind every left-handed player that Schecter makes almost every model left-handed version. They have a really great attitude when it comes to left-handed guitars. And so if you're not into Schecters, I understand that. But I always remind people that maybe you should look at them just because it is interesting that they are the one kind of beacon out there, right? They probably, and somebody could probably tell me if you're left-handed guys notice more companies doing that, but I don't think anybody puts out as many left-handed versions as Schecter. So something to think about that. Okay, let's see. Hi, I own 2 Gibsons and recently bought my first Strat. Jumped. See? I am so sorry. I don't know why it jumped. Let's see if I can go back to it. There are 497 of us hanging out, and I think I got a little jump in questions, so I'll try to get to them. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next one, right? Oh, here's a good one. Your opinion, Sweetwater, ? Guitar Center, ? Thanks, Fred. Well, Fred, I've had better experiences with Sweetwater than Guitar Center. On Monday, I have a 5 things you didn't know about Guitar Center video. If you guys follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you saw the teaser for that. I've actually had that video kind of done, and I've been scared to put it out because I'm not really dogging Guitar Center. I didn't really find a whole lot to dog Guitar Center about. They're a big chain store that sells us guitars. I really don't think they need to be my best friend, so I don't really care. Right? As long as their prices are and they take stuff back, that's all I care about. I think Sweetwater is way smarter than Guitar Center. I think Guitar Center has let Sweetwater take so much market from them. I really feel sad for the management of Guitar Center for not recognizing that Sweetwater came out of nowhere and is growing fast. Me personally, I would prefer Sweetwater. I have a Sweetwater credit card, so I get the no interest payments and I have no issues with them, so I do that. I could probably apply and get the Guitar Center credit card. I had a Musician's Friend credit card for years, which is Guitar Center, and I bought from Musician's Friend. But what happened was when the recession came, they did that thing that a lot of creditors did where they started lowering your credit, right, your limit. And I think they cut my limit to $116.40. I wish I was making that up. And I remember I called them. I said, "What is this?" Right, never been late. I'm perfect. And what a weird number to. So there you go. So I picked Sweetwater over Guitar Center. I'm sorry to be so long to say it that way. Instead of upgrading your Strat to sound like a Gibson, just buy a Gibson. Okay, that's a good point. I think you're answering somebody else's question, and I agree with that. Right? Unless, of course, the Gibson isn't comfortable and you want a Strat comfort, and then you should look at guitars like Schecter or ESP that have those Strat-shaped guitars that have bodies like Gibsons. The only problem is a lot of times they put those metal-style pickups in them, and that's the downfall. Okay, hey Phil, what do you think about Squier Strat with a little 59 in the bridge and lipstick pickups in the neck? Thanks. Amir, that's a good question. I would love that setup. In fact, I'm a huge... it's funny you brought up lipstick pickups, because I have some behind my head in that guitar. I am a huge lipstick pickups fan, and you'll be seeing this in a video soon. Oh, and the lipsticks are also in the Dane Electro. They're there. And If you watch my videos, don't do it though. In the beginning, when my videos, you'll see I had my Strat had lipstick pickups, and I was playing those all the time. I played lipstick pickups for years. I love them. When I started doing the videos, I got a lot of complaints from people saying, I don't know what your pickups sound like, so I can't tell what's going on. And so I took them out. But I love lipstick pickups, and the little 59 in the bridge is it's my second favorite mini humbucker in the bridge. I like the pearly gates that I have in the bridge, and then after that, I like the Dimarzio chopper. I think that's it, right? The chopper. So, somebody said Sweetwater's awesome. That's good to know, right? Shaman Blue says he likes Musician's Friend. Yeah, I've never had problems with Musician's Friend. Like I said, Sweetwater's just got a better, better pictures, stuff like that. Okay, let's get to another one. Let's see. Hey, Phil, what would you recommend for a Tele style guitar in the $300 to $500 price range? Squier, Chapman, Mexican-made Fender, or Michael Kelly? Me personally, I'm just going to do it in order. If it was me buying them right now, I would buy the Mexican one first. Then I would probably buy the Chapman, then the Squier, then the Michael Kelly. The Michael Kelly's last because I've never really tried one. I would imagine it's probably as good as the Chapman. The Chapman I would pick because I'm curious about it. And the Mexican and the Squier I would pick because I'm familiar with them and I like them. So there you go. Oh, somebody said Fralins. Fralins are great. Like I said, here's a good one. Seymour Duncan JB or Hotrail? If you're talking about the mini JB, I would pick the Hotrail for me. But I like the pearly gates for mini and the 59 more. Let's see. Oh, okay, here's a good question. Henrik says, "Hey, from Sweden. Hey, Sweden. What is your opinion about ESP renaming the Standard Series E2? Are they profiting from this? I thought the Standard Series was a success." I think the issue was cost. I think the guitars were just getting out of control. There's some stuff that's crazy out there. If you guys don't know this, it's kind of fun fact. So we'll give you a fun fact today, especially since there's over 500 of us hanging out right now. Hoshino has Ibanez made in Japan at the Team J Craft facility. That facility also makes all the dashboards and all the wood trimmings for Lexus cars. So you can imagine they've got a lot more money doing that than guitars. So there's a volatile situation happening in Japan where a lot of manufacturers are a little nervous about the Japanese guitar making industry because there's other profitable industries to be had now, right, than guitar. So I'm sure it has to do with the fact that they don't want to rely on Japanese-made instruments. So they probably moved the E2 series, kept that in Japan, and moved the other higher-end series to the American facility for some kind of stability, especially in that price range when you're making $3,000 to $5,000 guitars. Okay, money is a factor. What bridge do you like for the Squier Strat? Randy, I would leave the bridge alone. Right? The bridges to me are about comfort. If you don't like the bent saddles, you go to blocks. If you don't like the blocks, you go to bent saddles. You can make improvements to a bridge. I think it makes a difference. But what I would tell you is, I think a nut is important. I think tuning keys are probably more important because it's about staying in tune and easiness to restring, and pickups are more important. So there you go. So if you replace the tuning keys and the pickups, maybe the bridge is a good way to go, but on always some kind of direct replacement. Why do 80s metal guitarists lick their guitar necks in videos? You know what? I don't know. Probably because drugs. Okay, next question. Let's see. Okay, next question. Okay, ready? Aloha from Hawaii. Wondering about what to play out of a Helix PA wedge, line 6. I'm not sure what the question is. Wondering about what to play out of a Helix. You can play whatever you want out of the Helix. Oh, here's a good one question from Brian York. Phil, why does the power transformer in the amp matter so much to tone? You know what, Brian? That's a great question. Here's why. I'll tell you a funny thing about this. I've talked to so many amp builders, and what I've learned is there's a group of amp builders, like the guy who owns 65 amps. I think his name's Bob. that are really into output transformers. They really think that's the holy grail of the sound, more so than the tubes. Now, I'll tell you what an interesting thing is. When we did the amp shootout videos, those 2-part videos where we did all the small amp videos, what we learned, which we couldn't tell you in the videos because we didn't learn it until after the videos were made and they were already out, was that the amps that were loudest, if you took those top 20 amps and we put them as the 5 loudest, the thing that they had in common was they had really nice, pricier output transformers. So we learned through experimenting afterwards, which we didn't make a video, and I kind of apologize for that, that if you replace an output transformer in an amp, all of a sudden it cut through the mix way better. It was actually a more present sounding amplifier. So, it actually was interesting to see how much that made a difference. So why does the power transformer and the amp matter so much to the tone? I don't know. In fact, I don't know how much it even affects the tone. I just know that it will make the amp louder and more present. So there you go. Hey Phil, can you tell me about the Sunburst Strat behind you? Yes, I'm about to review it, and no, I won't tell you anything about that, just it's about to review. Only because I'm still in honeymoon phase with it, and I really, really like it, and I don't want to say anything today, and then when I get normal-headed for the review, you guys might think that I went down and didn't like it as much, but like everything has a honeymoon first, and I'm kind of soaring off it right now. How hard is it to do a fret job? If you've never done one before, what tools are needed? A fret job depends. Some people say it's easy, some people it's hard. I think that you should never do it on a guitar you love, and you should definitely do one. I think everybody should have to do a fret job, just to see, right? You know what? And there's a video series that I just started working out. The first one was today, and they're all different lengths, and they're going to talk about all that stuff. How to examine a guitar, how to restring a guitar, how to pull a fret, how to put a fret back in, all that stuff. Rick Williams says, hey Phil, what are your thoughts on Fender getting rid of the US Standard and replacing it with the new American Pro Series? I have a Pro Series Strat. I do like it. The neck is slightly different. The only thing I don't like about Pro Series is they no longer say made in the USA, and I don't know why. There's no trickery going on. They are made the same way the Standard was, just the USA has been removed. None of the Elite Strats or the American Pro Series say made in the USA on them. And it's, I'd love to say it's a patriotic pride that I'm upset about it, but it's more of a confusion why they took it off. And I can't get a good answer on that. So that's my only downside. Other than that, I think they're good guitars. I think they're slightly better than the Pro or the American Standard Series. I don't know. I have both, and like I said, I have no reason to get rid of my Standard, but I like the Pro. Let's see. 516 of us hanging out. Okay. Is it worth it to have your guitar plecked? Chad, if you watched the live I did with Sammy Ash, Sammy was explaining the pleck machine and what a interesting thing that is, right? They first have to have your schematics on your guitar, and they got to send that to pleck overseas, and then so I don't know if it's worth it. He was saying it's basically a long process and it's not really worth it. And he said even the plecks have to be hand finished out. So from what I got from him was I didn't see where it was really worth it. Right? I think it's a technology that's cool, but I don't know if it's there yet. Is there any 24.75 scale lengths that are neck through? I would imagine there is. If they are, it would probably be through ESP or something like that. I'm just not sure. Oh, here's a good one. Insomniac Matt says, does the fret size make a tonal difference? Not that I've ever experienced, but the fret material does, for sure. Stainless steel has a different tone than, like Warwick uses some that has more bell brass mixed with the nickel. The nickel ones, they do have different tones. But I've never been able to detect the size having a sound. Not my playing. Hey Phil, what do you think of RMC wahs? I haven't tried one. I remember RMC amps, if that's the same company. Nolan, he says, I played a Mitchell at Guitar Center. It was awful. Yeah, but I think that, Mitchell is their in-house brand. It's like Costco Kirkland, right? So I think it's just trying to be an in-house brand. Something gives them more profit and gives you something. I don't know if they were meant to be something to blow everybody's doors off. Oh, here's a good one. Cole wanted to know, sorry if you talked about it, which we didn't, but how are those Danelectro 66 guitars made? Good quality? This guitar is really good. Like I said in the review, it's made in Korea. And that's what was the interesting part for me. You know, the Korean guitars, I have not come across a whole lot of bad Korean guitars, especially in the last like 6 years, or maybe 10 years, because it seems like the lower end Korean factories all kind of dissolved out and went to China and Indonesia for cheaper labor even than Korea. So Korea is becoming kind of like the quasi New Japan because its economy is a little stronger and they get a better quality worker. They've been doing it a little longer. So yeah, no, quality, fit and finish, no issues. Nothing I found weird about it. It was, like I said, I thought something, but no. Do I still, Danish wants to know, do I still have my first guitar? Nope, I couldn't wait to get rid of that. It was a JB Player fake Strat, and I hated it so much. I was a victim of the guitar store that didn't care. I went into a store, told them, I said, I want to play metal, and they sold me an amp with no distortion and a fake Strat. It was if I could go back in time, I probably wouldn't stop myself from buying it. I'd probably punch the guy because I was like, that was a pretty crappy thing to do, considering there was no reason for it. There was other stuff in the store that they could have sold me. Okay, let's see. Phantom Riff said, hey, Phil, you ever tried a Dean ML? If so, what are your thoughts on the brand in general? The Dean ML, I've played the Mini ML. There was a Mini. I think I had that. It's too big and crazy of a guitar for me. I'm not into the weird shaped guitars. Of course, it's Dimebag's guitar, so there's just that, it was a catastrophic thing that happened to him, and he was, I think most guys, if you're into metal a little bit, had a Pantera phase. I had a Pantera phase. I watched the Vulgar Display of video. I bought all their albums. I can't say I've listened to Pantera in the last 10 years, but, there was a time in my life where I was probably a huge Pantera fan. And so when Dime was gone, it just made that, those guitars mean something to us. So it means something to me. So they're cool, but not for me personally to play. It's just, but if I was going to play a pointy guitar, that's one of the few I would check. Let's see. Hey, Phil, big fan of your vids. Thank you. Just picked up a vintage modified Jazzmaster having the same bridge issues as everyone else. Okay, your thoughts on the bridge swap? Was thinking Tune-O-Matic. Or your thoughts? You know what? Mad Axe Man 66. Can you tell me what the bridge issue was? Is it rattling? Because that's what I'm curious about, because that's what they do. Is it rattling? Hey, Phil, have you ever tried new Mustang amps? I haven't tried the new Mustang amps. I saw the promotional thing a couple weeks before. Probably everybody else got to see them, the new look. I don't know. I don't want to judge it. In fact, I saw the Guitar Center release the video today. I didn't watch the video. I actually read the comments, and all the comments were negative, and it made me not want to watch the video to see, what's going on. I don't know. I'm curious, but I'm going to be reviewing the Champion 40 because there's so many of you guys ask about the Champion 40. I decided to do a review of it, so I have it. It's actually sitting in the doorway, and I'm thinking about changing out the speaker in it to give you guys some ideas of what you can do. So, hey Phil, have you tried the new Mustang? Oh no, that's the question I just asked. Okay, let's see. It says next question. Okay, Brian wants to know feelings on the new Fender Noiseless 4 pickups. Love your videos. I like them. I like them better than the older versions that they put out. The vintage Noiseless, the original Noiseless, I thought were pretty good. The NS2s were a little weird. It just got a little weird. All of the Noiseless pickups are fine. My personal thing is I don't like the hum of pickups, so I like Noiseless pickups for what they do, but they never sound the same way as single coils. So it's, but you got to pick your poison. You either care about the noise or you care about the tonal aspects of the single coil pickup. But they're good. Let's see. Next. Okay. Dan Trove says, sorry I'm late. Where's the hat? I don't know where the hat is. That hat was an interesting video because, boy, everybody really focused on that hat. I've had that hat for a year, and I just felt bad never wearing it. And I thought, I got to wear that hat. Rick says, take a breath and sip some fluid. Yeah, I'm moving fast because there's a lot of questions. I'm sorry, guys. And Oh, you know what? If Lawrence is asking or watching, if Lawrence is watching, maybe this will be a good one for him. Why do Electro Harmonix pedals have loud button click? I guess it's just a design flaw. I have a TC Hypergravity and the button is way smoother. So we'll find out if Lawrence can chime in on that one. 530 of us hanging out. You guys are really cool. Let's see. Dreadlocks would fit me. Yeah, I don't know. I've had the same haircut for 20 years. Okay. Let's see. In general, what's the difference in sound between a Seymour Duncan versus Dimarzio pickup? Well, it's not a difference in sound. You know, like it's tricky because it's not as simple as saying a Strat versus Les Paul sound. Those two companies make different kinds of pickups, and some of those pickups will actually interlock and sound the same, and some will be different. So it's too difficult of a question to answer that way. So I'm sorry. Okay, let's see. Shut Up, Let's Talk says, hey, Phil, got any tattoos? My wife got her first tattoo last year. I was thinking about getting my first tattoo. I haven't thought about the Know Your Gear logo. I've been thinking about that. I even thought about just putting a line on my arm about a half an inch long. And so when people ask about tattoos, I go, yeah, I started one. And maybe I'll finish it in a few years, but I don't know. It's hard. It's hard when you go this long without. Roy says Sammy's asking. Sammy Ash is waiting for. You know what? I'm gonna ask Sammy soon to do another video. I was just talking to somebody about him today. I would love for him to come and do another live video with us. So I'm gonna probably talk to him next week, see when he can do the next one. So Brian had a question. I don't understand the question. It says, what happened with your Godin endeavor? You were going to get one. I did get a Godin A6. It didn't come in, and it was not very good for Sweetwater. It was pretty horrible, so I sent it back. If that's what you're talking about. And I didn't review it because I had no intention to keep it. It wasn't the guitar was bad. I've owned the guitar before. That one they sent me wasn't very good, so I sent it back. So I can't really ding the company for the model when only that one was bad. And I could have got a different one, but... Okay, so Lawrence answers the question. He said, I believe they use a traditional 3PDT latching switch that has a hard click. You could probably replace it with a switch with a less click. There you go. It's their switch. So you can replace it. I had that exact same problem with my Burnley pedal. Some people know I really like this pedal, and the switch that came with it was horrible, and I switched it out to a nicer switch. Sometimes you got to do that, you know. It's a very easy thing to do. Soldering iron in a few minutes of your time. Let's see. Donald wants to know, hey, why don't you do a review of your Jackson JS11? You know what? It's just because I haven't got to it yet. I have a lot of reviews coming. They're actually they're done, I think, at this point. So I'm just going to start launching them. Somebody says, Phil, you should get a beard and grow a beard and get some tats. All right. I might. You never know. Okay, next question. How do you rate fretboard material in terms of snappiness? Rosewood, maple, ebony. Well, some people believe that it doesn't have an effect at all, right? Me, personally, I think ebony has a bright kind of sound to it. Maple's a little less bright, and rosewood's the warmest. Although I think I recall once reading that rosewood's supposed to have a brighter sound than maple, and we all got it wrong. But, you know, if it's a placebo, it's in my head and I can't get rid of it. So I own mostly rosewood necks just because of that reason. Okay, let's see. Oh, Terry Clifford Howard says, total guitars you've owned over your lifetime, Phil. You know, one weekend my wife went out of town with the kids, and I was bored all weekend. And I sat there and I just had got my newest iPad, and this is a few years back, and I thought, I'm going to write down or put it on a list every guitar I've ever owned. And I got to about 1,500 and I stopped. And it has nothing to do with the store. That was just over time. And yeah. I say that out loud, and you know, I appreciate the question, but now I feel pretty bad. Like, that's a lot over time. Most of those were basses too. So, and there was a lot of repeats. Got a guitar, got rid of it. So, there you go. Okay, ready? So here's, I have a Rickenbacker solid body with a printed circuit board electronics. Have you ever played one? I have. 1985 Rickenbacker. I have. I've worked on many Rickenbackers. They're very cool guitars and basses. They're expensive, and they're one of the few guitars I haven't owned, and I had a couple opportunities to own one at a really good deal, and I just didn't do it. The neck to me is really small, right? For the guitars, it just seems really weird. I don't know. My hands just, again, it's an unfamiliar neck. It was just, I knew I wouldn't play it, and it was, even at a deal, it was a pretty expensive guitar. So, okay, next, oh, here's one. Speaking of fretboards, thoughts on plastic fretboards on some of the Epiphone guitars. You're probably talking about phenolic resin fretboards. My experience with those is when they're done well, they're amazing. They put them on basses and guitars. Obviously, Ibanez has some, and Squier has some, like on the fretless bass. There are some guitar, like Hagstrom uses that stuff. But what I've learned is when they don't do it right, it has like divots in it, and it's not very good. But so I think it's really cool when it's done right. And I don't know what is in the process that makes it so important. But it's, it's just important to the process because, like I said, when they're wrong, they're pretty horrible. And we're going to give a 10-minute warning on this one. Okay, let's see. Hey Phil, what type of wood is your Dane Electro 66 made from? It's mahogany. Also, have you tried it through the 68 custom Princeton Verb? I didn't. I played it through my Supro, and I played it through my Deluxe 65 Deluxe Reverb. My Deluxe Reverb. I just realized my Deluxe Reverb is just named Deluxe Reverb. The 65 is missing from it. Huh? I never noticed that. And it sounded fantastic. But no, I'll do the Princeton. The Princeton's downstairs. So, okay. And next question. Any thoughts on the Epiphone Thunderbird basses? Ed Bailey. They're big. They're cool, right? I'm a Nicky Six fan from Motley Crue, right? So there you go. I'm sure they were used by a ton of other bass players that are more popular than him even, but that's where I know it from. It's really cool. Nick says, hey, the way you have your pedals up, it looks great. Thanks. I really dig this. It's really cool to grab them and put them down, and then I don't know. So thank you. Question, how does the Katana work with pedals? That's why I like the Katana. See, that's the trick when you guys ask me a question about an amp and you say, hey, do you like this amp or do you like that, this amp? There's things I like about certain amps and not about others. The Katana is one of the few modeling amps where I like pedals, although I've never tried pedals through the Champion 40, which I will do that in the review, so I'm curious. But the Katana took pedals well. So there you go. So I don't know if you're asking me, so I'm not going to, I think you guys are talking to each other. Donald wants to know, hey Phil, what's the lowest series Jackson you would recommend to a player? Well, I have the JS11. I think that's pretty low, right? It was like $179, so I'd recommend that. I have the Minion. That was $150. So I can't believe how good they get those necks to fill at that price range. So although all mine have needed fretwork, but to be honest with you, how do you begrudge a $150 guitar from just a little fretwork? Oh, here's a good question. What's up with the website idea you had? Yes. Okay, so the website idea isn't gone. It's actually done, and we were thought about launching it, and then I came up with another idea. So I've been partnered with another company that educates musicians, and they have a website. And so now I'm interested in talking to them about actually taking the shell or what we did with our website and putting it into their website and housing it. And so what that would do is basically allow, for me, I would be the guy that goes, hey, go to this website and get that thing we talked about. And I would be able to function through them because I'm already functioning through them and contributing to them anyways. And I don't have to carry the overhead at the time and the process. So basically, I'm trying to merge two ideas together. If that doesn't work out, then I'll release the website. But it's done. It looks great. So it's just not available. It's there. It's one of those things. It's there. I can see it. You guys can't see it. So let's see. Paul wants to know, hey, he's thinking about getting a Supro Belmont guitar. What's your opinion on Supro guitars? I didn't try them. Didn't try them at the show. Saw one at Guitar Center last week. Didn't pick it up and try it. I don't know why. I think it's because it's $1,500. It's made in the USA. It's cool. But, I wasn't in a $1,500 spending mood, obviously. For me, guitars are something goes for something to come in. That's usually how it works. So $1,500, something has to go. So it didn't spark me to want to get rid of anything. Let's see. Oh, here's a good question. Do you think that Pau Ferro will replace Rosewood due to the restrictions being put on it? I ask because I have noticed an increased numbers of Pau Ferro fingerboards. Yes. Well, absolutely. That's what's going to happen. In fact, it's already happening. The Elite Series is getting Pau Ferro and Ebony as the replacements for Rosewood. I think that's going to be a thing, right? Vendors use Pau Ferro. It was in the Deluxe American Series bases, and it was in the Stevie Ray Vaughan Strat, I believe. And so it says, hey, Phil, are you selling any of the gear you demo? Not yet, because here's the thing with that. I've done that because in the past, I bought a piece of gear, and I sold it, and then I took the money, recouped it, and put in another piece of gear. So I've been doing that lately. I haven't done it recently because some of the gear that was sent to me was on loan, so I sent it right back when I was done with it. But I will. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that. I want to create a way to sell the gear that comes through so I can keep that churning to check out stuff. But I don't know. To be honest, it's a time thing. I've been really busy lately. Okay. Okay, let's see. Any thoughts on sanding down? Oh, sorry, I already answered that question. It's about a finish on a neck. Okay, 2 more questions, then we're going to call it. Ready? Here we go. Opinion on full tone pedals. I love the OCD and the Plimsoll. I think those are kind of staples, especially the OCD. The Clyde McCoy wah is a good wah, and I really like the Deja Vibe. So Deja Vibe's really cool. It's one of those pedals that I just didn't buy. I don't know why. So David says, hi Phil, fuzz pedal, PV Bandit 65, vintage modified, good blues rock tone. What do you think? Does that work? Yeah, of course. Why not? I don't know what fuzz pedal you're using, but yeah, of course. I think all that would be a good tone. I've tried most all that. Well, I don't know what fuzz pedal you're doing, but I've tried the PV Bandit. Oh, here's a good one. Phil, is there something wrong if my solid state amp makes a loud popping noise when you turn it on? Yeah, it's not supposed to make a popping noise. Especially like a crackling and popping. It could be something going out, a capacitor or something, or it could just be dirt. I would take it apart, unplug it, make sure it's totally turned off, been off for a while, and clean out the pots and stuff. Yeah, somebody's saying the same thing. Apparently, Pau Ferro has nearly the same tonal profile as Rosewood. My understanding is it's a higher altitude wood, so it's a little denser, it's harder. Again, that's just some rhetoric I read off of Guitar Catalog, so I don't know if that's actually 100% true, but it sounded good. So, okay, and last 2 questions. PRS S2 Standard 22 versus PRS Ce 22. Why is the S2 higher quality but $450 less? Because in Paul Reed Smith's mind, the CE is a step between S2 and Core. So you have SE that are made in Indonesia. Then you have SEs that are made in Korea. Then you have S2 that's made in America. And then you have CE, which is a Core guitar that's been stripped down a little bit. And then you have Core, which are the $3,000 guitars. So that's why. The CE has... upgraded pickups, and it has, I don't know what else, a couple other things, but that's why. I know it doesn't make sense to me either, but there it is. And then Krusty put, why don't I ever get my questions answered? But I always tell you guys, don't tell me I'm not answering your question, just keep repeating the question. I'm sorry. There is 499 of us, so always make sure you just put your question again. And David's saying, okay, so he doesn't have the fuzz pedal yet. He's considering the Big Muff. Yeah, the Big Muff Nano is a really good pedal. That's a good pedal for $79. Check that out. I would recommend that highly as one of the better under $100 fuzz pedals for sure. Oh, Ed Bailey says, yeah, cheap or bad cable can cause knob crackle, crackle and stuff. It's possible. Putting your cell phone on top of your amp could do it too. So, okay. And last question. Shaman Blues, what's your favorite blues speaker? I like the Jensen, the Italian Jensen. I really dig that speaker a lot. A lot of people tell you the Blue El Nico is a great speaker. I do like it, but I found it a little fizzy for me. I like, for blues, I like no fizz at all. So I like the Eminence, American Eminence speaker, like the Governor, or I like whatever Fender uses, their Eminence stock speaker, but I really like that Jensen. So I use that Jensen a whole lot. So there you go. All right, guys. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. There was over 500 of you again, almost 550 of you. It was fun, and I appreciate you guys, especially because I was late. I'm really sorry. I won't do that again. I put out the little thing that I was running late, but like I said, it was a time-sensitive issue. It had to be handled, and it was so. And it will mean better videos in the future, so that's even better. So. But like I said, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me this Friday, as always. And I want to thank you guys for your time, and know your gear. I'll let you guys go.